Welcome to the first ever EPG Executive Partners Group podcast. Our first guest today is Vlad Portnoy, the most successful estate planning attorney in Manhattan in the most competitive market of the world. Vlad, can you give us a little bit about who you are and kind of what got you started?
Got it. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here. And wow, I'm the first.
To have you.
Thank you. It's cool to be the first also. So again, my name is, as you said, my name is Vlad Portnoy, and I have been doing estate planning, and elder law, and Medicaid planning, all kinds of things related to that area for 16 years. My firm has officially been opened since October 1st of 2009. Prior to that, I was a corporate attorney. So I just really, since I was 8 years old, I wanted to be an attorney. And back in Russia, Soviet Union, I just wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to help people. And then it kind of evolved into more of a corporate that I wanted to be. I always say this. I wanted to be Don Draper for lawyers before there was Don Draper.
I love that.
Like if you look at
Mad Men, I love
Mad Men,
yeah.
Like this guy is in suits. They know what they're doing. They're sharp. You know, it's smoky rooms, deals, never shady deals. I never wanted to be a shady lawyer, but I wanted to be a corporate lawyer. You know, you come out on TV doing some really cool moving and shaking. And I got my wish. And
what made you want to transition from that corporate, which is very much more structured, I think, working in that type of environment rather than opening your own practice and, you know, going into estate planning, working with, you know, everyday people, I guess?
So great question. So I never wanted to own my own business, and I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to have a nice job. So I wanted to be a corporate attorney, but I didn't want to work for a large firm because it's not, for me, it's not about the money. In a large firm, you have no life, but you make all this money, but there's crazy hours. So I always wanted work-life balance. So my goal was to be an in-house attorney for a corporation. Mm-hmm. And so I got that wish in 2008 when business out of Russia opened on Wall Street, and I was supposed to be, you know, second in command. I was supposed to be an assistant general counsel. I came in, I'm like, hey, I'm here. Where is my guy? And they're like, no, you're the guy. And I was like, what? And then it was very scary because I'm a worker bee. I don't make decisions. I just direct traffic as in-house attorney. And then it just so happened that it made me be the guy, because they had a head office out in Moscow, and I was communicating with them, and the company was doing marketing. So we were international, and they opened a Wall Street office so that I can, you know, I'm both Russian and English speaking, and I came here in my teens, so I speak Russian, I understand the mentality, and we're supposed to open all of the English-speaking markets, like India, Canada, Australia. So they actually sent me to Cyprus the third day on the job. I had no idea what I'm doing.
That's crazy.
But I showed up, and in Cyprus was like a layover in London, and I'm just like, hello, I'm here, I'm the attorney. Very important. And just, you know, fake it till you make it. That was the first time I had to fake it till I make it. Like, I am an attorney from Wall Street. Like, I have no idea. I was scared. And then that kind of was cool, and I got a taste of business development. And I was like, I think I can do this. I'm not going to do it on my own, but I can be an asset, a better asset than I envisioned. And then a year later, they sent me to India for a week to open an office. So now I'm literally representing the company, not only as an attorney, but as a business developer. And that was really fun. And there's all kinds of stories behind that. Maybe at some point I'll tell them. I love telling the story. It's pretty interesting.
I'm going to circle back to that. I want to hear a few before the end of this.
Yeah. It's a crazy story. So then a recession was happening, and it didn't happen in Russia. But there's another story of how I ended up where I ended up. So basically, the very first year this company was, they opened an office in New York, and they had the Employee of the Year award. Out of all of the salespeople and the business and everything, and including their own lawyers, I was actually the first Employer of the Year, because I coordinated all the traffic globally, even though I was flying by the seat of my pants. But 2009 rolled around and recession here and other things happened, which is another quite a story. And I ended up not having a job. So no one cared about corporate attorneys during the recession. That's like the one type of attorney. If I was doing divorces or personal injury, life goes on. But in the recession, all of my friends who are in the big firms, having a lot more knowledge, bigger names, they're losing jobs. So what am I going to do?
That's interesting. You wouldn't even consider that.
So my mom, actually, who was an engineer in Russia, ended up here working for Prudential for 26 years, selling life insurance. And she has been telling me for many years, since the late 90s, early 2000s, she's like, all right, you go into law school, you should do estate planning. And I was very lost and very kind of like, first of all, I don't do estate planning because that's kind of more of a self-employment, or it's dealing with people. I want to deal with corporations. And second, that's for old people. That's literally what I said. It's completely ignorant, and I acknowledge it. And I said, that's for old people. She goes, we had this guy, she worked at in Queens in Howard Beach office. It was a very big office. And I actually presented there a few times, and I'm like, later on. After that. But before that, she said, well, listen, whatever, I'm not going to bother you. But if you need anything, materials are here. So 2009 rolls around. I proposed to my wife on the beach on one knee on July 26 to 27 at midnight. It was amazing. And then 2 months later, we sent out invitations for the wedding, and I'm broke and I don't have a job. So instead of trying to cry about it, instead of trying to apply for more jobs, I decided to just hang up a shingle, make a name for myself, and sell to the highest bidder immediately. Within like a year or two, I'm like, okay, I have a year. I need to make a name for myself, and whoever buys, I'm just going to go and join their team, whatever it's going to take. And I was already a corporate lawyer, so I'm used to making 60-page, master MSAs, master service agreements with other vendors throughout the world. So I'm like, what is like that? Oh, trust is 60 pages. I'm going to go in there. It's going to be easy. I had no idea. It was really hard because it's English and it's legalese, which is already hard, and it's written completely in different language. So the way the 60-page agreement and the way 60-page trust are written is completely different. So I had to relearn everything, and I had to learn it, and I had to, and then I just got into it, and then I had to survive. So now I'm talking to people, I'm networking, and after a while.
So you found that first thing that was as similar to what you were doing before, but had a use case in this new environment, this new economy that we were dealing with the recession and everything, and you turned it into this new business that you have now.
Right, and it was supposed to be temporary. So again, I was going to sell out immediately, like just give me 50 grand and I'm yours. And obviously no one was buying. And then I started getting calls 5-6 years into it, and I didn't realize I was so wrapped up. But I'm building my business. I'm doing okay. And when the calls started coming, I just looked around. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. And the funny thing is, it became, as ignorant as I was before, it is so much more rewarding dealing with everyday people. Like looking back, I'm like, I should have listened to my mother, and I should have done it a long time ago.
Been a little bit further along.
Oh my God, it would have been like before, if I did this before the recession. But probably, if I listened to her, I probably would have applied for jobs until I started working for someone, and I would never do what I'm doing now, which I absolutely love. So now I am a business owner. It's a law firm, but at the end of the day, it's just a business, like every other. And I like looking back, it's like, what a journey, what a roller coaster. So many fun stories, so many good and bad stories, all kinds of experiences. But really, it's, I'm really enjoying the ride right now.
Okay. Well, since that time, and I guess, 16 years has passed, not a short amount of time. But looking back at those 16 years, what would you have done differently at the beginning of that point when you started this new venture?
That's a
adventure.
Exactly, both. You know what it is? First 12 years of 16 years, it was just me. I had part-time help here and there, but I was, they don't teach you in law school how to run a business. So
I hear that from so many professionals. So many. It's like they teach you how to do the job, but they don't teach you the business. And that's, I think, a big gap in the world right now.
Yep.
I feel if somebody just created a course for doctors, dentists, and attorneys and whatever, people would really benefit from that, and that business would probably take off in itself.
Oh, there's a business that the last 4 years, there's one of the businesses that's out there like that, which is how I grew. The first 12 years, I had no marketing, I had no budget, I had nothing. So I would have gotten into marketing, but I didn't have the budget, and I didn't have the budget without the marketing. So it's
a never-ending cycle.
Everything was a word of mouth. Mm-hmm. I was doing okay as a solo attorney in New York City, not like anything spectacular, but a regular, as you would picture, a regular solo guy with a shingle. And I wish that I looked into building the processes earlier.
The processes, yeah, definitely. That's such a big point. In my business, building processes made so many things available to me. Just creating that process and making it so easy. And, even a monkey could do it if they sat behind the wheel. And being able to put professionals behind that process, really exploded my own success. So I really understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, and being in your facility, it's amazing. I can clearly see that what you've done and what progress you've done. It's amazing. It's basically I'm aspiring to build what you already have here. Which is great.
Yeah, we really try, and it's been an amazing ride. And it's the team, but it's also the partnerships. Working with people that really care about growth and sharing that mindset really helps in that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. The last 12 years have been really just a word of mouth. I was being passed around by Russian grandmas on Brighton Beach and Howard Beach, every kind of beach, sometimes Miami Beach. And I'm like, I would love to have a client. I can't help you. It's another state. I'm not licensed. But please come in, get licensed, and get us a trust. I'm like, all right. That was kind of cool, flattering, but nothing I can do. So I have friends over there in Miami, for example, in California, in other states at this point. But 4 years ago, I did find this company that's run by a lawyer who has a very interesting story, and they teach lawyers how to be business owners. Mm-hmm. And it was really eye-opening. It sounded too good to be true, and it sounded extremely scary. But they put you through a 2-month boot camp, and then you come in, maybe even a month, 6 weeks. And then you come in, and they go, do you want to be a member? And obviously it's a membership. So now they're doing that.
What's maybe that one thing, that one little golden nugget that you learned there that you feel like if people heard this, it would probably change their perspective on business? There's many, but one of the most important concepts that I've learned is concept of failing forward. The way, especially if you're from the old country, you just, I made a mistake. I'm such an idiot. I'm this. So there's 2 other levels to that. First of all, stop calling yourself an idiot. It just happened. And second, which is what they teach you, is you have to change your mindset to understand that in every failure, there's an opportunity to not only survive, but do better. So it took me probably 4 years later, it took me about 2 years for it just to sink into my head, even though I kept repeating it. But your subconscious is always fighting you. It's keeping you safe. Mm-hmm. So this is where like if you remember Chris Farley when he did the skit, like idiot, yeah. Like he would. That's what's going on with everybody who wants to have their business. But the very first setback, and they go, and that's it. And this is where your subconscious go, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Absolutely. And I feel like so many people kind of beat themselves up over every little mistake that it really just kills their productivity. I feel like if people spent more time saying to themselves, you know what, message received, this doesn't work this way, but maybe the goal doesn't need to be changed, but maybe the method in which I achieve that goal needs to change so that I can be successful at it. And I feel like if people, just like you said, did more of that, instead of beating themselves up, failing forward instead, they'd be able to really succeed faster.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, so that's how I was able to do, and especially at the very beginning, just starting, where you realize what you don't have, which you have nothing. You have no employees. You don't know how to run HR. You don't have to do payroll. You don't have the processes, and you start all of that at the same time. There were so many failures, and at first it was really hard to deal with them mentally. Not, it's overwhelming in general, but over time, when you start learning that, oh my God, someone quit on me, and it's like, maybe it's me. But the reality is, if they weren't happy here, they're going to be happier somewhere else. And you're going to replace them with someone who's going to be happy here. And that was actually during the boot camp. Was specifically, I had an employee, I had an attorney, the first attorney that I hired to work for me. And that attorney was just miserable, just in general. And I was miserable. And I kept blaming myself for keeping them like, I'm just not a good mentor. I need to do more for this attorney. And I voiced it at the boot camp. And they said, look, just let him. I'm like, but he's so great. And they're like, let him be great somewhere else. They're not here. You're not appreciating. They're not appreciating. So when that attorney finally left and was replaced, so many doors opened. It was like I was the bottleneck of my own firm. Just sever it and move. But it's so hard because you think that you're hurting them, you're hurting their feelings. But the reality is,
you're holding them back and yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And just that in itself is extremely hard for most people to understand and appreciate, that you're not hurting their feelings. You're freeing them to do things they want to do.
Not only that, I've actually seen this a few times, is you have that A player and you feel like without that A player, you will not be able to move forward. I've had in my early years in my business, and I've also been doing this almost 2 decades, and I had one person that was working for me, and he made everybody's life miserable. He made absolutely everybody in my office miserable. But I said to myself, I can't get rid of him because X, Y, and Z would not happen in X amount of time if somebody else is doing it. But it got to a point where I just couldn't keep him anymore. It was too much to handle, too much to deal with. I said to him, listen, man, I really appreciate it. He says, you'll never be successful without me. The next year, I doubled my revenue, because one person, even if they're great, even if they're making everybody's life miserable, they're going to kill everybody else's productivity. And that compounds.
Absolutely.
By the way, Tanjona, as a note, can you please not use that camera? Just keep it on him or me, okay? Because we're going to use this for social media after, and I want to have clips of him on his social media, for example, okay?
So this was like my year or two into this whole thing. I replaced the non-performer who was a C player at best, and I replaced with A player. And the attorney was great, even so great, in fact, that we had to get someone part-time just to help them out. It was she was seasoned, she knew what she was doing, she could be autonomous, and it was great. And then in fact, we started going up. The billables went up. Everything went up without jeopardizing our work ethic. She was a great attorney. And so we got someone who was more not as seasoned, but had a couple of years under her belt to back her up, to get the spillover. And then this attorney said, I've been doing estate planning for a long time. I want to do something completely different.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. I was devastated. I was like, oh no. And it wasn't without our tensions. We were about the same age. There was an ego thing, and I don't like pulling the rank. But what happened was, when she left, this other attorney who was a backup, I said, look, can you help me out? And that attorney has been with me for 2.5 years. She's one of the best people I've ever met and one of the best attorneys. So everything happens for a reason. That other attorney did her thing, moved on, is doing something completely different. And this other attorney is, she's a blessing. And she really is like, I don't have to supervise. It's not like I take my foot off the pedal, because we have weekly case reviews. We're always in the office. We're always talking about anything. So nothing slips through the cracks. But I trust in her. And, especially as an attorney, you go, or marketing, really. I was just talking to my staff about that. No one can do Vlad better than Vlad. You think that this is another hiccup for general people, like, okay, well, I need to do sales and marketing, and I need to do production, and I need to do all of these things, and there's not enough time. And then when you start building, like, this attorney is a better attorney than me, and I'm okay with it. The clients love her. Everything is great. I'm still a supervising attorney on the case, but she's a better attorney. It's fantastic. And then I had some, I had other employees like paralegals, and they're better than me in every single task. I've done all of those tasks, but when I started to not be afraid to delegate, these guys are amazing. My team right now is flying. They're awesome. And really,
isn't that so amazing? Like when you give somebody the freedom to actually do the task themselves, they come out of their own shell. And I've seen that a lot of times also. Like I have a customer success department I built out, and one thing that every single customer success manager that I've ever hired has said to me, "Oh, well, I'm not really confident in giving out the reporting yet with the client. Like, I need you there. Can you help me?" No. And they did it once, they did it twice, they did it 3 times. And a week later, I get a call from one of my clients, and they say, "Rob, can she give me the report every time?" I said, "Well, what's wrong with me?"
Hey.
But that's what ended up happening. They really come out of their shell. People are most successful and most effective when they feel like they have trust. When you trust them, they start to trust themselves.
Yep. I've had recently, even I've had some of my employees have been with me for over 3 years, and they were hired for specific tasks and immediately were reassigned because they were so much better than the position they were hired for. And I'm like, look, I know you can do this. I'm as scared as you are, but keeping you on this one specific task that we can get someone else who is not as talented, not as whatever, would be a disservice to you, me, and the firm. And oh my God, I have this 2 guys that have been with me for over 3 years. And again, they started from doing something, something very specific, and now they're doing the operations, they're running the office, they're doing admin tasks. There's so much they've been doing, and they're always kind of busy. And I go, but I know that what they're busy with is exactly what I need them to do, and they're doing it how I would do it. They picked up on it. That we've discussed whatever the process is they can improve on. I'm like, yeah, fun. Go with it. I trust you. Go. And it's like they're flying solo, but I am not worried. And my biggest worry was that I would be worried. My early experiences was hiring wrong people, and then
entrepreneurship could be summed up into one statement, I think that would be it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so crazy. And I say this, almost every time I speak to anybody in business, is like everybody goes into business thinking, I want to make my own hours. I want to be my own boss. And, I only want to work when I want to work. And you do it, and then you end up working 24 hours a day, 8 days a week. And it's just redonkulous what goes on every day.
Yep.
The things you have to deal with and the people that you have to put up with, because everybody has their own nuances, everybody has like their own insecurities, and then you become the boss, and you become kind of like that father figure that everybody comes to with their issues, and you gotta be able to nurture everybody into who they need to be, into who they want to be, and kind of make the decisions so that they can get there without being in their own way.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, and on top of all of that, another thing for entrepreneurs is the what I didn't know had a name, but we all know what the name is: the imposter syndrome.
100%.
Who am I to tell other people how to live their life and do their job and do the job better? And in reality, the weird thing happened that I had to just acknowledge that I have it. My imposter syndrome was flaring. Sometimes it still comes up. But over time, with my team, with me trusting them, and they're doing work even better than what I envisioned, and they're thinking nothing of it. They're like, we're just doing our job. They're not asking for medals or anything like that. They're not asking for. This is what they do, and in a sense, by working with them and trusting them, they cured my imposter syndrome.
It gives you that reassurance when you can actually teach somebody something and you can show them, hey, no, from my experience, and I've been doing this longer than you, this is the best way to do it. And then you kind of feel more reassured in yourself, by teaching.
Yep.
You realize how much you really understand. It's like, even, with my son, sometimes I do some of his math homework with him. Half the stuff I didn't understand because it's Common Core now, it's new. So I'm reading it and then I'm trying to understand it and I try to explain it to him. And as I'm explaining it to him, I was like, all right, now I get it more myself, So I think it's like that also because like that imposter syndrome hits you. You're not really sure about the decisions that you are making. But as soon as you put somebody else in front of you and you're telling them this is what it needs to be, and you're like, yeah, actually that makes complete sense. And I don't know why I'm questioning myself so much.
Right.
And then you truly become that boss.
So yeah, so we are. So that's to answer your question for a few minutes. That's been I've been talking for a while. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is where we are. We're now a team of 11 people.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And your office is in Midtown Manhattan, correct?
We have 2 offices actually, because I've always been licensed. I've been licensed in New Jersey and New York for over 20 years.
You've been going back and forth.
I have. And so part of the program that I was in, they said, well, you live in New Jersey. When I lived in Brooklyn, it was a no-brainer. I had a Brooklyn office next door, and then I had a Manhattan office.
And so all the customers from Brighton Beach.
Well, that was actually the point.
All
the customers from all the Russian grandmas, because we also do elder law, so Medicaid planning, and it's not just signing the the dotted line and making Medicaid, because there's actual planning involved, but. I had over time, I had a few clients from New Jersey that reached out and said, we don't have any Russian speakers in New Jersey. Can you help us? And I'm like, I know nothing. So now I had to learn New Jersey. But it was very dormant. And then in 2019, I moved to New Jersey. And right there, I'm like, I'm going to start developing New Jersey. Then we know what happened half a year later. COVID happened. So now I'm working, Zoom happened to everybody. So now I'm working on Zoom.
Sure, helped productivity by a lot.
Yes and no. It was a little bit of a cabin fever, because now I'm sitting there and I'm conducting these meetings in a Zoom attire, which is this on top and the pajama pants on the bottom, and then and then when I'm done at 6, I don't have to travel. I like being on subway actually, so now I just travel to kitchen and eat myself to sleep. So
that's so funny. I mean, for me in business like mine, like I got used to that over these almost 2 decades. I do most of my meetings through Zoom, and for me, it's helped a lot. It opened up an entirely new pool of employees. For example, like I don't have to have everybody here. Half of my employees are overseas, mostly in Latin America now. And it's greatly affected my profitability and my, ability to give a better product for my customers. Just because I can hire top tier talent, I can hire more of them for the same price if I would hire one person here, probably mid tier. Which is, I think, a problem with a lot of marketing agencies and lead generation in general. Is like you get one decent person that's a jack of all trades, rather than a suite of a pool of professionals that can specialize in either a single type of business marketing or a single type of marketing, for a lot of different types of businesses. So you get that specialty, and it's really helped me kind of like really grow in the last 5 years since COVID, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what happened. Again, I'm going back to how I grew my firm. I had a couple of paralegals here and there in the office, and it was like, they can do this, but I tried them out in this, and they're just not going to do this part. And I got my first virtual assistant in March of 22, and she was doing everything, marketing, answering the phones. It was a pandemic. We're all surviving. But she was so good that by August of that year, I said, look, we need to split you up. You're either doing marketing or you're doing customer care, because I was still doing the drafting. And then she actually chose marketing, and then she moved on to another position, but not until we hired 3 people to replace her, and she trained them. So this is how we're actually, and they're all virtual.
What happened to her? Why did you get rid of her?
I didn't. She was really good. I trained her when she started. She was green. I trained her with everything, but she actually works for a very big name. I'm not going to name the company. I'm still upset with them. They actually advertise everywhere. So if I did, it's in the food industry. And so she went to do something completely different. What she picked up while with me, customer service, and she really sampled it, talking to people. And I believe what she's been doing, at least at that time, she went on to do marketing stats and product not product development. Product management, which is not something we're doing here. So but she was completely green within half a year. I'm like, look, you want to learn marketing? Go take this course. Go take this course. So, but she was very nice. There's no hard feelings, and she trained for 2 weeks. She trained the 3 guys. 2 of them are still with me, and one is doing the marketing, one is doing the customer service, and the third one was answering the phones. Because he was a virtual, that was an interesting thing. He was working through an agency, and the only reason he left was because he actually won a green card, and he moved to the United States. And that agency could not continue employing him if he is within the States. That's actually why he left. He was also green, and once he got to the States, he actually wrote a very nice email and said, before I joined you guys, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. But because of my experience, I decided to be a paralegal. And he got a paralegal job at the firm, and I believe he's still there. And he's very happy. He found his calling. He also sampled, and he was an intake guy, but he did some additional tasks. As we're growing, now everybody's doing some other stuff that we don't have anyone else to fill in. So now he's a paralegal. And the other 2 are the ones that I talked about before. They're just killing it. And they've, one was for marketing, one was for very limited client contact, more like really filtering my emails. And within 2 weeks, she was talking to clients, and now she's our client happiness director. Pretty much since that time, but we gave her an official title. And she's literally, she's going to hate me for saying this, but it's not a nice, but I mean well, we call her the glue.
Glue.
She holds the whole place together.
Nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
It's not a sexy title.
Sexy title.
But she literally is. Nothing happens and she's virtual. Nothing happens in the firm without her knowing what it is and how to handle it. So people come to her. So now she's busy dealing with clients. She is the director. She's literally, if the client wants, like, oh, hey, I need to review the trust, she knows where to send it, how to do this. She, and she's everywhere. I don't know how.
It's. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is, how you say, like, you have that little bit of kind of like influence in a person's future. Kind of like helping that development, that personal development that they get. Jordan Peterson said this. He says that my goal in life is to be a part of somebody's story. Like, I helped them along somehow, and I made some sort of a difference. And I think that's a very underrated part of entrepreneurship because, especially in New York, corporations are looked down on. They hate us. We're going to tax you 2% more now with Mamdani. But what people don't realize is we have a huge impact on everyday lives every single day. People feed their families because of us, and taxing these corporations, taxing us. We're not all Fortune 500 businesses. We're local businesses, local law firm, a local lead generation digital marketing agency. We don't have that type of impact, but we're still going to get that 2%. That 2% accumulates a lot, especially with everything else that we have to deal with on a day-to-day business, a day-to-day being a business in New York. So I think that's a very, very important thing that you touched on right now.
Yeah. So I am really, every time someone joins the firm, I tell them we have 2 rules. We want to help as many people as we possibly can. So as we grow, we can help more people. Mm-hmm. And rule number 2 is we have to have fun doing it. If you having at least one of those not on your plate anymore, we have to have a conversation. If both are out, then we have to release each other if you're not happy here. And my goal, exactly what you said, for the time that I have with these people, someone will stay with me, someone might move on. It's just, just life. I want to make their experience every day a positive one and improve them mentally, professionally. It's not just about, being able to pay the bills. There has to be something more to that. So the value I'm trying to give them is, we have the meetings, and I, just randomly post in the general chat. I post like quotes or videos that are like, or say, hey, I was just thinking last night at 11, I couldn't sleep, and this particular person, you should do this course that will help you. Just you in general.
That personal development that you
Absolutely.
kind of like work with. And, doing that, yeah, I could definitely see how people would be able to grow. And you just said, like, there are a few people that started with you. They wore that jersey, and then they took that jersey, and then they got that next job and, kind of like further grew and, into maybe even a different field or, a different position. But they were able to take what they got out of working for you and grow themselves personally. And I think that's a huge impact.
It's very important to me. It all comes down to, at the end of the day, for all of us, mental health. And now that I'm not a doctor, but now doing guardianships, we deal with mental health for 16 years in and out. I see all the horror stories, but I can't really take it out of my head and put it in your head. What I can do is I can prevent these horror stories from happening to my clients, but also our team members, because everybody's going through some stuff. And what you do is you can't, and you have someone going, hey, I don't feel well today. Okay, fine. But you can see in a text message when they're not feeling well or they're like upset about something. And you go, hey, do you have a headache or do you need to talk? And I've had a couple of conversations with people that said, look, I am at my wit's end. I like this job. I like being here. I might have to quit to deal with this thing. I'm like, hold on a second. Maybe there's a solution. And at this point, seeing all of the cases, for the most part, I have solutions. And I'm like, how about this? Give me 2 weeks, stay with me, and implement this. Shorten your day, do whatever, do this, and implement this tactic. And oh my God, it's really rewarding when they come back and go, you were right. I was emotional, and I couldn't snap out of the emotion. And then you came in and you told me how to do like a short-term plan. And I'm back and I'm better than I was before. And this also, this goes to team loyalty and the professional development. And really, mental health is very important. And for me, I don't want to cause anguish to my team. So also when someone joins the team, I warn them, look, once in a while, you're going to get a text from me. It could be in a general chat saying, hey, you have to improve this process. Do not take it negatively, because I'll try to go to you personally, but if I think there's a lesson here for everybody, I'm going to I'm not outing you. I don't have fun belittling people. I have a lot of fun building them up. So this is not me outing you. This is saying, hey, Mr. Whatever, you need to improve this. And then for the rest of you guys, this relates to your process and your process and your process. So just keep it in mind that at no point, and I'm a little direct, so like at no point do I try to hurt you, and especially make myself somehow feel better, which is unfortunately what happens with a lot of people. They have this bad boss that his dog barked at him. He can't wait to come to the office and just yell at everybody. And now he blew off this team, but now he has an entire team that's toxic. And so what I'm trying to avoid that. And I'm like, look, I'm trying to be the opposite of that guy. I'm trying to build you up. And I'm trying to, so any criticism, and by the way, you're welcome to say it to me, because we all need to keep our emotions and egos in check. We have a mission, and we need to stick to that mission, whatever gets it more streamlined. So I always say to everybody who starts with us as a new person, I am really excited to build you up, to give you better mental health, give you better, so you don't have the imposter syndrome and everything that comes with it. And so I am never going to belittle you to make myself feel better. I will build you up. And that makes me feel better because I know I made a positive difference in someone's life instead of yelling at them and forgetting about it. We all had that. We all had those bosses.
Yeah, for sure.
We all had those. And I have enough of those scary stories, but I just don't want to be that guy.
For sure not. Like for me, and I do a lot of team building, and I try my best to kind of build myself as much as possible. Like I read different books by different entrepreneurs. I listen to podcasts by different entrepreneurs. One that actually had an impact on this specific topic was Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's in a similar business like mine.
Gary.
Yeah, and another Jew. But one thing that he said that always resonated with me is that every business owner needs to be on a first name basis with every single employee. So since then, what I've been doing is I've been actually having conversations one-on-one with every single employee, which is exhausting sometimes, just to check in. How are you doing? How's your mental health? How's your family? What's been going on? Everybody's got that story. Everybody's got something going on. I have guys who had very, very ill, family members, cancers, this, that. How is that affecting you? It's been horrible, but I can't stop working. I got to do this and this and that. I was like, you got to get this taken care of. Take 2 weeks, paid. Go handle business. Come back, and we'll take care. And we'll take care of things when you get back. We have X, Y, and Z people standing by to back you up. We'll get everything on it right now. That I've seen not only has it improved productivity, but my employees actually stay with me much longer since I started doing that. I've had people that, kind of came and went year by year. I just kept revolving doors. I have employees that have been with me for 8 years now.
Nice.
So it's something that constantly really changes the dialogue when you actually show that you give a shit.
That is true. That's absolutely true. How many employees do you have?
I have 28 now.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many virtual and how many in-house?
Well, in this office, there's 25, but for my specific lead generation business, I have 5 people here and the rest being overseas. So I'm in one of those businesses where it's okay to have people not only overseas, but I have employees in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, but virtual specifically. But the majority of my employees at this point are in Latin America, which has been a really good game changer for me.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
same here. Most of our team, I think 10 out of 12 are overseas.
Really?
Most of Latin America, we have the Philippines and South Africa. Several countries in
South Africa. That's an interesting. I haven't heard anybody taking virtual employees from there yet. What got you into that market?
Well, because it was the agency that agency that where I was looking. The 2 girls that they gave me was the guy. There was a guy. He was a Venezuelan living in Colombia. We have a girl in Mexico, and we have a girl in South Africa. Wow. So the girl in Mexico and South Africa are the ones that they were specifically. That particular company is out of Miami. They're really great, and they were only specifically doing a couple of countries in South America and South Africa. So that's a very big market. There's also the Philippines, India. There's different markets, and they do different things. And there's also time difference. So that all depends. But it just what happened, and then and the girl in South Africa is the one that's really the one I was talking about, just holding it together, even with a time difference and everything. And
that's quite a time difference for her.
Yeah. Yeah, we have someone in the Philippines that's literally 12 hours difference. She's worked through the night. I'm like, are you sure? She's more of a recent addition since this summer, and she's awesome. Also, she's great. Just the work ethic, just killing it.
Yeah. So I actually opened up a new side of my business doing, hiring virtual assistants for clients, appointment setters, to do just general assistant.
Yeah, I saw your website. I saw.
Yeah. We're growing and we're growing rapidly, and it's something that I'm very proud of. This is a new side of the business, and I've hired my 5th person from the Philippines now to be a virtual assistant. Only 2 customers have actually asked for somebody that's specifically in Latin America. Just they wanted somebody that was, from that time zone, they don't want to take chances. I was like, yeah, but they're not taking the chance. This is what their normal day of life is at this point. This is what they do. Everybody stays in an office space. I built everything out in both locations, so it's like we're growing rapidly, and I'm seeing like the different markets. That's why I asked about South Africa. I was like, that's a very interesting market. I've not even explored any employees there.
It's a great market,
but I think I might now.
It's a great. There's and this is my personal observation, but once in a while they have the rolling blackouts. So once in a while they might punch out. Like you're in a Zoom meeting and then they just drop. And then they have the generators, they have the whole thing. So, but it's going to take usually on Friday nights, Friday afternoon, we just moved it to Wednesday, our team meeting. And then she would like disappear. And we're like, first time, I'm like, what happened? She just quit. But after a couple of times, I'm like, all right, she's going to come back.
If I can make a suggestion. One thing that I've done that's been very, very helpful is I'd find buildings in those locations that are a little bit more modern, a little bit newer. They usually have the most reliable power and internet access. So what I do is I usually rent out office space over there, and I have all team members working from there. And of course, they have like the option to work remotely when it's when it makes sense, as long as the customer agrees. But essentially, you have a backup. Where they can always go and work there, and it's going to be fine because that building was built top notch, Class A, we'll call it, in Manhattan terms.
Right. Well, they work. Our team, I believe, all work from home, and also the rolling blackout can happen on a Friday night, and I don't want I don't want them schlepping around to and from work. So it is what it is. But it's a small price to pay. It hasn't happened in a while. Knock on wood. But and then the Philippines were recently hit, so we're like, we were talking to her, and like, are you okay? She was just like, yeah, I'm on a different side of them, 2 hours away. But it's happening everywhere, whatever it is. You can't be completely insulated, but so all of them are working from home, and they like it because it's a quality of life, and the pay is good. Because I also got my girls out of the staffing company. I got them out. Now they're mine, gave them a raise. So, anything I can do to show appreciation. And again, there's never been a day that they were like slacking off or anything less than A++. And so now we've been hiring directly also. But we had to go through an agency for like several years to understand.
What's your process for hiring great talent? Because if it's anything like what I've experienced, I put out a job post. I'll get 300-400 applications in a day.
Yep.
Sorting through that can be a process and a waste of time a lot of times. I've built my own systems to kind of filter through, but I like to hear like what have you done to filter through all the extra applications?
I did not filter any through a single one.
You went through every single one?
The opposite. I have not. Here's what happened to me. After working with an agency that would do all that work, over time, we found someone who is a remote consultant who can do that for us when we hire direct. So when they do all of that, so they work at that point exactly like an agency does, except they will take a one-time fee for vetting through and getting this person hired.
Totally worth it, honestly. In my opinion, going through that many applications. Oof.
Yeah, but it's also a one-time fee, so I'm not paying the agency. And so what happened when I got my girls out, I was like, because
premium monthly with them,
right? So what I did was I didn't actually keep anything that the agency would have been paid, but it's not. I just gave them a raise to match that. So I gave them like a nice raise, and so they're happy
from the client retention there.
Yeah.
I mean the employee retention. Sorry.
Yes.
Well, one thing that I did that helped me a lot, sifting through all of this, and definitely I agree with paying a premium for really good employees. You want them to feel secure and happy, and not having to get a second and third job just to pay the bills. Once they have a stable, really good income, they're much happier, and retention is high. But one thing that I do is, when I get through these, like I don't like to hire extra people, for extra tasks. So what I try to do is I actually put extra steps in the application process for them. and see who actually reads the application when they apply. And then, at that point, the last question is, I want you to download Loom. I want you to record yourself, why I should hire you, why you're the best for the position. And I'll ask them one just ridiculous question that's just like completely off topic, like what's your favorite hobby? And just to see who actually gets through it and they can follow all of the instructions, because, having the right skills isn't enough nowadays. Now you need to have somebody that can actually follow the procedures. Like I have a ton of procedures. I got built up SOPs, till tomorrow we could start reading through them. But from 300-400 applications, I'll get 10 people that actually follow those steps.
Yep.
And those are the ones that I really care about actually going through. Those would be the people that I actually talk to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have someone who does exactly that, with little quirks here and there. And I don't know what they're doing now, but it's like we just like on the application we just give their email. That's basically on our domain, but it goes to them, and a phone number. And yes, and then there's that little list of things like, let's see how far you can read. Yeah, it's I didn't know about that. They taught me, like, this is what we do. I'm like, really? All right, this sounds interesting. And it eliminates so many applications.
Absolutely. But since we got on the topic of virtual assistants, and I think this is something that a lot of the people that I've spoken to at EPG have mentioned to me, is they said to me, like, Rob, how do we get X, Y, and Z tasks done quickly? And a virtual assistant really is the best way to get those tasks done, because, for example, if you're on the road and you're going off to a job site and you got to get X, Y, and Z done ahead of time, you got somebody on the phone with you that's telling you, okay, you have this going up next. I've just taken care of this paperwork. I got that done. And also, one thing that we touched on earlier is you get a lead into your website. New customer wants to get started with you. They need to be addressed immediately.
Right.
Because in that first 5 minutes, they have about 10 other options on that first page of Google of people that they can call.
Absolutely.
And if you don't answer them, they're just going to call the next person.
Yep.
So a virtual assistant does help you to be able to address that person immediately, answer a few quick questions, and set up a call when it's convenient for you, so that you're sitting behind the computer and you're like, hey, yeah, let me go through all the steps. Let's talk about your sales process a little bit, so that maybe it'll help some of our members, kind of replicate, so that they can, be able to close a little bit more business on their day-to-day.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's also interesting as we grow. Our first core team was like 3 people, and then like 3 to 5 people here and there, and we were. I had to teach them every step, every nook, every cranny. Some things maybe I talked too long. I didn't need to do this, but I'm just like, this is all I know, just full data dump. And as we grew, as we hired more people over time, now with the new person, me and this other person that I just trained show up together and teach. And now a lot of them teach without me. They've improved the processes. They've cut down the talking time. They have things, the standard procedures that are in writing, and then they give it to the person. And it also eliminates a lot of this. In terms of the client handling, we tried Calendly. And, the Calendly is the thing, we get so many things. We have AI, receptionists that will get you a Calendly. Neither of those work for us.
Okay.
Because we opened up Calendly a couple of times. I tried when it was just me, and I tried when I had a team.
What was the biggest roadblock with Calendly?
Every tire kicker will go, oh, cool, and book themselves. And you show up and you go, let's talk about wills. And they go something like, I got bitten by a dog. What do I do? I don't know. Did you read the ad? Well, you're a lawyer. You know everything. Just, and then you're upset because for many reasons you go, you didn't read it. I can't help you. And now you took a spot from me to do work or talk to someone else. So Calendly by itself does not vet. We tried to do, and then with AI, it's also, AI will vet you to the point, but there are things that you still need a human being. So for example, in legal terms, there's 2 types of law that there's two types of jurisdictions that govern the law: federal and state. Employment, immigration, that's federal. If I was doing employment in New York, I could technically help someone in Washington State. And a lot of people do that because it's under the same law. As long as they're a lawyer in a state, they can do this. Except, they're not going to take it if they know or suspect they need to go to court. That's a long flight. So in our thing is everything we do is governed in the New York State. So easily, for example, we get this a lot. Someone calls and says, "Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm calling about my grandma. She needs Medicaid." Fantastic, you're in the right place. This is where they usually would book. But, question, Joe, where do you live? "Oh, I live in Brooklyn." "Oh, even better, we're in New York." "Where's grandma?" "She's in North Carolina." We can't help you. Who is the actual client? Grandma is the client. You need a lawyer in North Carolina. Why? People don't know this, and they're not expected to know this. And he goes, "Why? Don't you do Medicaid?" "Yes, but now you're sitting there explaining, but I'm not licensed in North Carolina. I can actually go out of my way since I already lost this hour that was booked for you. I'm going to send you to someone in North Carolina who may not even know who I am, but I'm going to take care of you. I'm not going to leave you hanging." And they go, "Well," I'm like, "Why did you call me?" "Well, I'm in New York. You're in New York." They don't know the difference. The opposite actually works if Joe is in North Carolina, but grandma is in Brooklyn, and he said, I'm gonna be there. Grandma needs Medicaid. Then we can help grandma, because also the perception is who is the client. No one looks at it that way. The client is whoever calls you. That's according to all of us. If I'm calling for my parents to order them food, I'm the client. That's what the restaurant is going to deal with. And that's normal. And that's in most of our interactions, except for a specific case. And Joe says, "Hey, grandma is in Brooklyn. I'm in North Carolina, or I'm also in Brooklyn. I'm going to pay for grandma. But in exchange, I want you to cut out my brother and sister and make grandma's will for me." And you go, first of all, this is completely unethical. And this is normal, I'm not disparaging, this is like a normal call we get a lot. And second is, show me grandma. Grandma is, well, I'm paying you. I don't care who pays me. Grandma is the client. Let's serve grandma. And then we meet with grandma and we say, "Joe, can you leave the room?" "Grandma, one-on-one." It was much easier when it was like in person before Zoom, that I would go, "Can you please go outside?" Obviously, they're standing by the door, but they can't control grandma. I'm like, "Grandma, is this?" "No, I just didn't want to hurt his feelings. He's a nice boy, but I love my other grandkids the same, so do 1/3. "Okay, thank you, grandma." You come out, and he goes, "What did she say?" "Attorney-client privilege." And they go, "All right, whatever. Let's just get it done." So those are the nuances where you still need a human being, and the AI is not going to go. It may at some point when we have Terminators attacking, but not at this point.
Hopefully, no time soon.
Well, we're rapidly going there. So we have, for example, we had one intake person, and then now we have 3 intake people with the way, so they got to pick up the phone. And if we have rarely, but if one is out of the office and the other with 2 on the phone and goes to voicemail, the entire firm gets that voicemail. It's like blaring. There's 2 people standing by going, "Intake guys, just in case you missed this." Because they're on the phone all the time. They're not going to go on email. And they go on the chat and they go, "Call this person." "Okay, got it." So we had like a triple checks and balances where they get notification, they saw a missed call, and someone else says, "Don't forget." And then in 2 hours, did you call this person? So obviously every minute of the day is important. So we're trying not to even have a missed call. Sometimes it happens and we call back. And then when the intake does this, they have a script very much like you would do with AI, but they have this human touch where they can hear the intonation, hear the voice.
People got really excited when the AI started dropping. There were AI sales agents almost immediately after ChatGPT launched.
Yep.
And they were horrendous. I'm very guilty because I invested into a couple of these startups early on, and I regretted it within the first 2 months because it was just not ready yet. But essentially, they've improved a lot. But
yeah,
I still say that I agree that these, rather having a VA, an actual person that can actually answer these calls, vet them, and give them that reassurance that I'm a real person and I can actually have a conversation with you. And if I don't have an answer for you, I'll get your question answered. Once the attorney gets on the line, for example, it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
As kind of like to wrap it up right now, how about one final thought? And I think we'll do a part 2 on this. I think we're going to have to, because there's still so much more to go over.
Yeah, I would love to. Then this is great. Again, thank you for having me. Honestly, I think that we should do maybe a reverse, and next time I'll interview you, because you clearly have been doing this for 20 years. You have the operations, and it seems to be all chugging along, all working. You have all the 5-star reviews online. So I've checked before coming in, because I don't want to come into ambush, even though. All hail APG, but
EPG
still,
EPG is definitely the focus, the topic of focus. We want to be able to help each other grow for sure. But this is what it's all about. Is successful entrepreneurs, and like I say that humbly. For myself at least, for you, like I really, very impressed with your operation, even what you've been able to build, even like with your own in-house marketing team, which I know how it is to build a marketing team. It's not easy. So to do that on top of running a law firm is very impressive. But this is what it's all about, is like bringing people together that have this experience and these skills, and being able to share that with each other and with the world, so that we can kind of help each other grow and become more successful.
Absolutely.
That's really what it's all about.
Absolutely. And it's like success is interesting. Success is, how do you define success? Everybody does it differently. But if you're ethical, if you sleep well at night, if you know you've done everything to help as many people as you can, that's what motivates me. And obviously you need support. You can't do it. No man is an island. You can't do it by yourself. So you have a huge operation. I'm built into that. I have 2 people in my marketing department. We're gonna probably onboard the 3rd one, but I'm still gonna call you maybe for a CMO. You could be our fractional CMO, because clearly we're learning from the ground up. You already passed that, so we'll talk.
Sure. I could definitely work with you guys, help you out. This is something that I'm very passionate about. My mother wanted me to be a doctor, but through pre-med, I was still building this business, and that's really where RGM really started to pick up. Building it in the library of college.
As honorable as being a doctor is, you're doing great. You really are spearheading this stuff. So it's great that it's going to sound weird, but it's good that you didn't become a doctor.
Yeah, that's what I say, but my mother still doesn't agree.
Hey, bring her here. Show her around.
No, she loves me. She's very proud of me.
Obviously.
She's very proud of me. She's seen what I did, and when I showed her my first tax return after being in business, and she's like, all right, yeah, you're making money, but you should still maybe think about going to getting your doctorate or something. I was like, I don't need it, Mom. Thank you.
This stuff is going to be timeless. Being a doctor also, but this stuff is going to be timeless. It's the operations, the marketing, the sales. That's what drives everything.
100%. All right. Well, wrapping up, EPG Volume 1 closed.